Hi everybody. Thank you for joining me for Teach Me Tuesdays. So I'm going to hop on here and my goal is to teach you something new or at least maybe a new way of looking at it. So my goal is to make these little Tuesday videos to be about 8 to 10 minutes, and they're probably today is going to run just a smidge longer than that. So because I just kept looking at everything, and I'm doing embossing and I just kept looking at everything, and there was so much to show you. So bear with me, and hopefully you'll learn something new and you'll share it with your friends and your crafty friends. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do we're going to learn about heat embossing today. So let me go ahead and put you on my table here, and I'll show you what I have. So here is the Stampin' Up! Heat tool that we have right now currently. And it is, let's put it this way so you can see it. So it is a beautiful tool. It's got a nice guard here to protect your hands and fingers from getting burnt. And one thing you might not know about this is very versatile. So it's got two settings. It says right here, 0, 1, and 2. So when you're doing heat embossing, you're going to go ahead and put it on all the way up to a 2. But if you are just wanting to use this tool to, let's say, dry your ink or your watercoloring, I do a lot of watercoloring and I use this tool a lot for that. So then you can just set it on a 1 and it doesn't blow as hard. It's a softer, just a softer heat. So that is the great thing about this tool. It's very versatile. But today we're going to talk about heat embossing with heat embossing powder. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want to show you what I have here. This is just honestly, this is a little, let me see if I can zoom you out a little. I don't know. I don't think I can right now, but this is a piece of my countertop from my kitchen. And so when they cut the sink out, they saved this for me, and it's just a nice hard surface. It's a solid surface. And my countertops in the nest here are Formica. So I'm never sure what the heat tool is going to do to a Formica counter. It's probably going to be fine, but we never want to lift the glue, right? I hope to have this forever and ever. And so I don't want the glue to be lifting. So I protect my countertop with another piece of countertop. So, but you can use, you could get a tile, a really inexpensive tile from the home improvement store if you have Formica too, or if you're on a surface that you want to protect. So that's my first tip. Then when we are doing heat embossing with heat emboss powder, we're going to use an ink called Versamark, and you're probably familiar with it, but if you're not, it's a watermark stamp pad, and mine's been loved and used, so it's kind of discolored, but it's a sticky ink. It's a pigment ink, so it stays sticky for a little while. You can use it without your embossing powder, and then it will give you like a tone on tone look, so it's really especially pretty on dark papers. But we're going to use it to stay wet so we can add powder and heat emboss. So first thing that I want to say is keep your pads juicy. So I'm just adding this little tip. So a lot of times people say, well, I never re-ink my pads, or I don't know why my powder's not sticking, or why is my image not dark? It's because you've got to re-ink it. They do get dry. So it's as simple as just adding a few drops. Now, I've re-inked this not too long ago because I try to keep my pads inked, but I'm not always successful either. So a few drops, and then I just take the tip of the re-inking bottle and I just swirl it around and work it into this foam pad. And that's really all there is to it. And so do that periodically. Some people say they want to know, like, how often do I have to re-ink? It really depends on how often you use your pads. And it really depends on, how you're using it, and if your room's dry. Because I used to be in the basement before I got the Creativity Nest, and it was right by baseboard heat, and my pads dried out super fast. So I was re-inking them all the time because that baseboard heat was running right up where my pads were. So keep that in mind too. So let's go ahead and do basic embossing, and I have some great tips for you. I'm just brought out a piece of Night of Navy paper. And I just grabbed a stamp, and this stamp is called Peace because we're getting into the holiday season. This is a nice solid image. It's got a nice lot of places where we can emboss. So I thought that would be a nice place to start, and hopefully it'll be something you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the word peace in my Versamark. And I'm going to stamp it, you know, straight down and pull it up. No rock and roll. And then I'm going to dip it in my white embossing powder. Now, I've put my powder into these Glad plastic containers because then I can just dip in there and then I can tap it off, okay? And if I still have some, I can do this with my finger, or I can hit it with my fingernails, do a little tapping, okay? So I'm pretty happy with the way that's come out. I am going to try to, I'm going to reach up here and try to zoom in. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Let's see how that works. Go this way. All right. So now I'm going to use my heat tool. And when I see people heat embossing at class, and I'm not calling anyone out because I really don't know who it is, but a lot of times I'll see them doing this and they'll be just going all over and moving around. I'm going to give you a little tip. Stay in one place. So stay in one place, start here, and as you see the chart start to melt, just move your heat tool very slowly. So let's go ahead and do that. Now it's going to be a little noisy. So I'm starting all the way on a 2. I've moved my gun here to a 2. And I'm going to start here on the E, and I'm going to try to talk loud so you can hear me. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but I'm going to show you when it's all done. So I hold it until I start to see that powder melting. It's starting to melt, and then I'm just going to move it across, and I'm watching it like a wave, just like the ocean. It's moving, or like the rings of a puddle. It's moving, moving. I'm seeing it change and melt. Then when I'm done, I might do that just to make sure that I got it all. So that's my little tip, is stay in one place and move it very slowly. So I'm going to keep tipping this until I think maybe you can see the shimmer. That's a little dark in here today. It's not nice and sunny. So, oh wait, there. I think you can see the shine that's melted, okay? So that is basic heat embossing with the heat tool and embossing powder. But let's do some fun techniques. So we're gonna do something with clear embossing powder. So I'm gonna do some clear embossing powder, and I picked out, let me zoom out again, just a little. Okay, so I picked out the pear from See the Good, the stamp set See the Good, and let's make this pear nice and shiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up. Well, it's a pear, so we have to use Pear Pizzazz, right? So I'm going to ink it up in Pear Pizzazz. This is classic ink, so we're not using Versamark. Okay, classic ink. And the nice thing about this stamp, let me get it on camera, is it's kind of one of those images that are a little sketchy, so it's left a little place in the middle. And now I'm using some of my Mango Melody on a little sponge dauber, and I'm going to add a little color right here in the center with my sponge dauber, kind of mixing the green and the yellow of the mango. And then I'm going to stamp it on one side of this paper, just like that. Get it in there. And then I'm going to use my clear embossing powder. Again, I have it in a little container here. Okay, there's my clear powder. Now, I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that, and that's going to give me a little bit of shine, but I'm still got color. So it's not just one color. Again, I'm going to stay in one place. Hopefully you'll be able to see this one kind of come to life. See how it's starting to melt? Oh yes, I think you can see that. I'm just moving slowly across my pear. Okay. So now I've got a pear with the color, but it's added a little bit of clear, so it looks more realistic and shiny. Now, this is the part I didn't even look at. I wanted to try an idea, and I think I've heard this, but I haven't used it for a long time. So you're going to be here experimenting with me. And I'm going to start with by inking my stamp in Versamark first. Okay. Then I'm getting it good and juicy. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it in the pear. I'm just going to do a little bit of a rock and roll here. Yeah. And I'm going to use the mango again and just see what happens. So I'm adding a little bit of mango here. Just a little. So I've got Versamark on there. Let's see if that's going to make it any different. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison. What do you think? Comment and let me know what you think is going to happen. Okay. So now it's just a smidge juicier because I started with Versamark. And it didn't, I think it's going to be similar. I think it's going to be a similar effect. That's what I think. What do you think? Okay, let's go ahead and emboss it. You can just start to see it melting. Whoops, I'm burning my fingers. Okay. I know that you can't see it, but it's definitely different. So on this one, now don't look at the color, just look at the kind of the clear. On this one, it's a little, I'm gonna say, there, you can see it there. It's a little mealy. So that means it stuck to some, didn't stick to some, but can you see this one? See how shiny that is? I'm gonna pull this over. It's just not quite the same. So see how this one, because I hit it with the Versamark first and then added my color, and when I cut this out, it just looks like a beautiful, fresh, juicy pear. So that is another way to use your, to do a little bit of embossing that's kind of fun. Now, I'm gonna show you one more thing. I had someone ask me about using a folder. So isn't this going to be interesting? So this is the winter, oh gosh, I just wrote it down too. Betsy, help me out if you're out there. It's winter snow, because we're using this in our at home. And all of a sudden I just drew a blank, of course, because I'm on camera. So this is a folder. It's got a raised side and a deboss side. So we're going to focus on this raised side, and I'm going to take my Versamark and I am going to ink it up, and I'm just going to do it by pouncing onto those snowflakes, right onto my folder. Okay. Then I'm going to take a piece of this beautiful designer series paper. This is from the Snow Wonder or Snowflake. Oh gosh, Snowflake Wonder paper. I might be wrong on that. You guys probably know better than me. And I'm gonna lay it on there and close it up, and I'm gonna walk over here. You can see me in the little camera, and I'm gonna run it through my embossing, my big boss, as I call it, the new Stamp Embossing and Cut and Emboss. I'm gonna run it through there. If I held it down. Okay, so this is the side, and now it's debossed, and you might be like, well, I don't want it debossed, but I'm going to show you something really fun. So I've got some gold powder here, and I'm just going to stand up, so you're going to see me, you're going to see just, focus on the table. I'm going to put a little bit of gold, okay, maybe there, and maybe here. Now don't worry, I have a plan here. And I'm going to take that, and I can kind of rub off. I'm going to show you here in a second. I'm rubbing. So I've rubbed off the excess, but see how it's down in the snowflakes? But I'm not done. I'm going to take some silver. Betsy says it's a winter snow embossing folder. Thank you, Betsy. I Love you. And I'm going to take some of the silver. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to kind of come across it. So I'm using gold and silver. Again, I'm going to wipe off the excess. You can hear me wiping it off. Now I'm going to sit down. Okay, so I've got a little bit of gold and a little bit of silver on the same paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, that might be too much, but we'll see. I hit it with my and my heat tool. You're gonna see it starting to melt. Oh wow. Beautiful. Can't you just imagine this as a beautiful background? So we're working on the gold. Now we're gonna go into the silver. It's down inside those little snowflakes. I'm not going to worry that it's not everywhere because it's a technique, it's just highlighting. Let me get back on there. You'll probably see it a little bit better here on this darker part of the paper. There's the gold, look how it's showing up. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah, I'd say wowzer. It's super, super pretty. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna hit this just a little bit more. I think there's a little more powder there. Okay, you can turn off that noisy thing. I'm gonna try to back up a little bit. Maybe. Let me stand up. There we go. Okay, isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh. Look at, there's a little gold in there and a little silver. You could do whatever color embossing powders you want on whatever kind of folder that you have. I mean, think of the possibilities. So I hope you enjoyed that. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to my face. And I'm just gonna, I never did introduce myself. So I like to introduce myself if you've never met me. My name's Mary Ellen Stites and my business is Create With Me. And I create here in my studio called the Creativity Nest, or the Nest we like to call it. And I've been doing this for a long time, almost 18 years. And I just want to give you a little invitation to join me here on my Facebook page every Tuesday at 2 o'clock for something that I'm calling Teach Me Tuesdays. That's my goal anyway. And if you loved what I showed today and you need heat embossing powder, or you need a heat tool, or you need a Versamark or a refill for your Versamark, or anything that I've shown today, you can go to my website, createwithme.stampinup.net. And if you'd use the host code there that's listed, you can just take a screenshot right now. It's NRV as in Victor, B as in boy, V as in Victor, P as in Paul, T, B as in boy, all letters. So that is what I have to show you today. I so appreciate you joining me for Teach Me Tuesdays. And this week, if you're available, I have coffee class on Friday live here virtually at 10 a.m. So bring your coffee and we'll chat. We'll do a little bit more chatting. Not as much chatting today, but we'll do more chatting on Friday. Join me for about 30 minutes of chatting and I'll show you how to do a card. So I'll see you later. Bye.